You are now listening to The Mind of Tommy Buns, and this is Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Black Friday.
It is Black Friday.
Peace, family. I'm your host, Tommy Buns, and welcome to episode 7 of the Black Friday podcast. Give yourself a big hand. Yeah, you know I love that. So, man, I want to jump right in. Going to start doing the Black Friday podcast every 2 weeks instead of every week, man. I'm going to just be real, man. It's just way too much stuff going on with Against the Grain Films, and I just can't commit to doing it every single week. So every other week, you'll catch Black Friday, the podcast, and that'll allow me more time to live with material and write better segments and come with a better, more well-produced show. Over the past 2 years, the people of Flint, Michigan, have been complaining about discolored water and sickness. Flint, Michigan, much like Inglewood Unified School District, has come under state receivership due to financial insolvency, bankruptcy, and just not being able to, make your payroll. And so it's a rather poor community. I believe it's 46% black. So they say it's a predominantly black community, but it's got a pretty large white population as well. The situation came to head a couple weeks ago, as most breaking stories do nowadays via social media. Videos started swirling around the internet of people filling up cups and bathtubs with what looked like copper-colored sewage water. You know what I'm saying? And Michael Moore made some striking points in his new piece called 10 Things They Won't Tell You About the Water Tragedy in Flint. He says all children have been exposed, as have all the adults, including me. The media is reporting that 9,000 children under the age of 6 have been exposed, when in fact the total number of kids under the age of 6 in Flint is 9,000. So they avoided saying that every child has been exposed to lead, as opposed to, the more politically correct description that they gave. And that's just one of the shocking revelations from his expose. He also mentions that while the people of Flint were drinking lead-contaminated water, the good folks over at General Motors arranged a deal to get fresh water to avoid their cars from being damaged. He also mentioned that in conjunction to being poisoned, the city was also commissioned to be bombed. And that shit kind of like messed me up because, now I didn't hear about that. And that's not being really talked about, So folks around Flint were posting videos and complaining about the military exercises going on that were disturbing the peace. And to me, it's just sickening to think that, something you would never commission for yourself in your community. Like the people of Beverly Hills would never ever commission a military exercise with live ammunition, bombs going off. You would never, explosives going off, I should say, not bombs, explosives. They would never commission any type of activity like that in their community. Yet they authorize, the government of Flint authorized, the military to conduct these exercises in a community that actually had people, But I guess it's similar to the idea that, you can put a power plant next to an impoverished community, and it's not really much that they can say or do because they don't have the resources to fight anyway. But that was disheartening to hear about that, Read that article on Flint, and shout out to all the celebrities and folks giving water and trying to contribute to what's going on down there. But, honestly, if you're really trying to work, you got some more water and some more money to give, because it's not just Flint. Recently, a man in Louisiana shared a video of the same type of contaminated water out of his bathroom, and come to find out, it's been like that for years in that community, which is also 77% black and poor. And it just came out that in certain areas of Chicago, the water supply was contaminated with lead as well. So, the water infrastructure in, impoverished communities and working class communities is definitely being impacted. And I think that we should look into that as far as how we approach, our local governments when it comes to, investing in infrastructure and investing in making sure that we have a clean running water supply. And it was funny, like, I have a conversation with my partner, Derek Steele, that's going to be coming up in a little bit. But in that conversation, we kind of talked about, how Inglewood, and under the leadership of our mayor, James Butts, was kind of like forward thinking, not necessarily forward thinking, but just more so thinking about the foundational elements that make a community, livable, having clean drinking water, access to this clean, drinkable living, clean, drinkable water, is something that we obviously take for granted, and to see how these folks cannot drink their water at all, They can't take baths. They can't. So you can't bathe your kids in that. You can't take showers in that. Water is essential to life. We're 80% water, and so not having that, it almost seems as though like it's unimaginable. These are stories that you hear about in third world countries. You know what I'm saying? It's not just Flint. So I would advise people to continue to research and look into, more communities like this, and continue to spread the information that this is not just going on in Flint, and that, something really, really fundamentally needs to be done, and continue to help as much as you can. So get your checkbooks out. To all you rich folks that can't do it, the homies and myself, we don't got bankroll like that. So we waiting on payday to help out a friend through a friend who's making it a campaign to consistently supply goods to the folks down there. But if you're looking for places to donate, GoFundMe has thousands of different campaigns and initiatives to help get water to the people down there. So there you go. Go down there and do your part. I swear crowdfunding platforms are the most brilliant business idea on the planet right now, because you just think about if a company like GoFundMe didn't exist, how would people connect from across state lines? We've already seen like studies coming out that the Red Cross spends a lot of that money they get in donations and in administration fees and marketing fees, or marketing expenses, I should say. And so, a lot of those resources don't necessarily get to the actual issue that they're trying to support. For example, the Red Cross spent a lot of time in Haiti. And a lot of studies are coming back that the people, obviously, billions of dollars were donated to to Haiti after that major earthquake that happened some years ago. And, you look around, you tap in, you search Haiti, and it's pretty much still in the same place that it's been, and corruption still exists, and a lot of people, still complain about not having enough access to food, running water, and the country is still impoverished. And, I think that goes a long way, and I think that there's a whole nother context and narrative as to why the country of Haiti is the way it is right now, and why it's not seeing the type of revitalization that it deserves and the people of Haiti deserve. But that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother podcast. But I'm really thankful for having crowdfunding platforms available so that we can connect on a more personal and direct level. You don't have to necessarily go through the Red Cross or go through all these major nonprofit organizations that take the money, administrate the money, and decide how the money should be dispersed. You can directly fund the person who is in need. All they have to do is just create their own, page and for their cause or for their campaign, and you could directly contribute to that. And I think that that's phenomenal, and that's revolutionized the way people become socially active. We're using the internet to truly make an impact on somebody else's life, or other people's lives. Or, when that hurricane or when that tornado came through Oklahoma and all those people, received hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair their homes, that's like real contributions. That's real money, and so even though, these crowdfunding platforms are a business and they take a percentage of your campaign contributions, I still think that, that is money well deserved, because they've created the platform to enable, these social goods and these social actions to take place. So I think that they should be remunerated for their services. Great. It's a great social entrepreneurship. It's a great social enterprise. And that's exactly what we do with ATG, through creating media that's entertaining, inspirational, educational, and it's for a societal good. So big up to crowdfunding platforms like GoFundMe.com, Kickstarter.com, Indiegogo.com, and the many others out there that's out there, helping people get their dreams accomplished, and helping folks, who are really in a crisis that need immediate assistance. And, shout out to the people out here, that's still showing that there's humanity in the world left. Folks that's out here just giving to make sure that they, that they can help. You may not be able to go down to Flint and physically be there, but you can send, $100 down there. It's $50, $10, $1. Send whatever you can down there and make a contribution. So I think that's incredible, man. So yeah, check out that Michael Moore article. It's called 10 Things They Won't Tell You About the Water Tragedy in Flint. And I'm gonna try to keep everybody updated as long as this thing is going on as to ways that you can contribute. But yeah, moving on.
Thomas, let's get it done.
It's finally happening, man. You know, Black Friday podcast. I'm your host, Tommy Buns. You know where we at. We at the Social Justice Learning Institute right now. And I told you, man. 2016 was gonna be the year that we was gonna start taking it to a whole nother level. Yeah. And I wanted to start it off this week with my brother from another. My man, Derek Steele, the Social Justice Learning Institute. What's happening?
Thank you. I'm here, man. We are in here at SHLI, the Music Forward recording studio, holding it down, man. Got to make sure Inglewood represent in a major way.
Yeah, Inglewood is definitely in the building, man. For those that don't know, let them know where we at and what's the Social Justice Learning Institute.
Man, here at the Social Justice Learning Institute, SHLI is what we like to call ourselves. We're focusing on improving the overall health, education, and well-being of youth and communities of color. We do that in many different ways. Including through research, through community mobilization, as well as training our community members how to use their own agency to change each other's lives. So I am the Health Equity Programs Director, and we're doing a lot of good work in the community, but also working on policy locally, regionally, statewide, the whole nine, man. So, it's a lot of good things happening right now.
That's dope, man. And how long have you been here, bro?
I've been here for 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, I actually just celebrated my 6th year, January 21st.
So you what we would call you a native now.
Yeah, man. How long have I been in Inglewood?
Yeah.
I've been in Inglewood since 2008.
Yeah.
So I've been here. I'm going on almost 10 years. Come 2018.
That's
yeah,
what I'm
man.
about. So see, that's what I'm saying. We with the brother right now, and he's definitely rooted in the community, doing his thing.
Yeah, I haven't lived nowhere. I haven't lived anywhere else since I moved to LA. I moved to LA from Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. Went to HBCU, did electrical computer engineering, and I got a job out here in El Segundo. But when I moved out here, I wanted to move somewhere that was like home, and I started looking up information about Inglewood. Man, this was exactly what I needed to be. Yeah. My folks was here. It was like, yeah, let's make that happen.
Thank you. Yeah, Inglewood has that effect on folks.
Yeah,
man. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful city. Beautiful weather, obviously. Man, and it's a lot. It's got a robust history to it too.
It's a lot of character here, man.
A lot of character here. A lot of good people. A lot of good businesses. But man, let's move into this thing, man, because I know you limited on time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time.
It's cool, man.
But I wanted to start off. I troll your Facebook, obviously, and you stay getting folks involved. Just on an intellectual level, man. You
got to, man. It's got to happen that way.
I love it, man. I love it, man. You stay starting conversations, and
at least if it ain't nothing else, I want to make sure people are thinking.
Right.
So even if you don't like it, even if you don't comment, at least you're thinking about what you're gonna do based off of what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So, and I'm turning it all the way up in 2016. I got I'm running 5K 3 days a week now. So I'm running for my life, but every time I'm on Snapchat and I'm actually talking about what I'm thinking about out loud, and then I actually share that information on Facebook too. So right. I'm trying to get people all over the place, thinking about how you think about your own life, but then also the things that's happening in the world too. We got some major things politically happening, man. So
we definitely do, and and I definitely want to go there. That's
okay.
Let's just go ahead and dive right.
I had a feeling that's where we were going.
I saw it was like it's probably been 2 days now, but you went Hamilton.
I did.
And I was like, man, it was back to back posts. You was just going in and talk to me about, like, because I know obviously you voting for young Sanders. You feel the burn right now.
Well, right now that's how I'm feeling right now. But when we come to voting,
right,
I'll figure out what I'm gonna do once it's time to go. But right now, what I do know is this: we need to have an honest conversation about Madam Hillary Clinton and the history that she has when it comes to black people. And, in the work that I do, I'm in social justice, and I'm in community mobilization, and I'm an organizer. Right. So when I'm thinking about organizing around black people, I mean, that's my preference. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to make the world a better place. We can have a whole long conversation about what that looks like
right.
For black people.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to these types of decisions, I think one of the things I read you say is we didn't think about life after President Obama. Right. So now that we are, I want to make sure we have an honest debate and an honest conversation about this.
Yeah, most definitely.
Most people will say that the Clintons were the first black couple elected. That's crazy to me. That's asinine to me. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't even make sense.
Get that out of here.
And when you really look at the policies, I'm like, man, we need to have a conversation about that. I'm not here to talk about how you feel about her, and I understand from a woman's standpoint, what that looks like, but man, I just am in good conscience as a black man. I can't vote for Hillary Clinton. Can't do it.
I can't vote for Hillary Clinton either, bro. And I say that because of the fact that, looking at her voting history, she's in bed with all of the same people that's been robbing us for years.
Talk about it.
So she in bed with the AIGs, the big major banks. These are the same cats that we ended up bailing out when they robbed us during the 2008 housing crisis.
Right.
So she's in bed with these folks taking money. Like, I don't know if I could trust that, But I understand, like, she's playing the political game. Like, she's one of the illest fundraisers.
I give her
on the trail right now.
On the trail right now. I give you that because Obama was really that dude when it came. His machine was kind of crazy.
Spielberg money.
Yeah, he did. He did in a major way.
Yeah.
Major way. But I feel you on that, and that's the argument that I get. Well, she can get things done. But I'm looking at what she's already gotten done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. This whole conversation about, at SJLI, one of the things we're doing is working with young black males, and ending the school to prison pipeline. Like we helped to push and pass Prop 47 here in the state of California, to be able to get low level offenders, which majority of our young black males are, out of prison. You know what I mean? And so when you talk about how the system was set up in order for that to happen in the first place, when you look in the 90s, she was on the trail pushing for that to happen. Yeah, her husband was president. She was first lady. Right. And she was out there pushing the issue about making sure that the three strike rule was put into place, and that we need to make sure that these people are being put in jail and da. But then now on the campaign, you tell me, oh man, we got this huge problem about, black and brown youth being put in the jail, and we got to fund it. Like, it happened because
yeah.
Come on.
You part of this. You can't name your way out of this one.
And here's the thing: I can understand if she was saying off top, I have to look at my faults in this, and I apologize. Yeah. I look in that's not the conversation she's having with this.
She's completely avoiding it.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. You know absolutely. What I mean? So that's shifty. It's like I can't deal with shifty people.
Right.
Can't do it.
And that's one thing I will give credit to Bernie Sanders. He's like, I looked at his voting record, and he's been who he's been the entire time across the board.
Right.
From him being at the University of Chicago, marching with Dr. King, March on Washington, to him, becoming a senator and moving up politically in Vermont when he moved. He's been liberal and progressive his entire tenure, I should say.
Right.
And I'm like, I respect that, because at least I know where you stand.
Talk about it.
I know where you stand. Whereas Hillary, she's voted on, like you said, she's voted on a lot of things that have been detrimental to people in our community. But at the same time now, she's trying to do the nay-nay. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute, come on, man. You've never really rocked with us.
Come on, man.
I mean, if you read like on her website, you go on her website and you look at her plans, there really isn't she doesn't really have a plan that addresses the issues that we face.
No, not at all.
She doesn't, and that's one thing I loved about Bernie Sanders was, you go on his website and you look at the issues he's riding for.
Right.
He's riding for everybody.
For everybody. And the totality of it. But what I love more about it is that he actually went to Baltimore. He walked the west side of Baltimore with the politicians that are there and seeing what exactly was going on. And he talked to the issues of food insecurity and what that looks like versus where he's from in Burlington, Vermont, and what that looks like. He went to Atlanta and sat down and had a conversation with Killer Mike and actually changed Killer Mike's mind.
Right.
To now that Killer Mike is out there.
He's the biggest evangelist.
Talk about it, you know what I'm saying? And you know, and those are the types of things. There is a genuine feeling I get from that guy. Now I get electability and age and with that all those conversations. Yeah. But I mean, as a progressive, think about who you want to put on this team to make that happen. You know, this whole conversation about Elizabeth Warren and the types of things she's trying to bring to the table. And what if she becomes the vice president? I mean, I wouldn't be mad about her being the first woman president. Right. You know what I mean? Because the values that she has as a senator now is something that aligns with what I feel. Right. You know, so it's like I'm looking at the totality of it. And I'm going to just say this. Mm-hmm. When back in the day, around this time, when everybody was saying that Obama wasn't going to win, right. He's not electable, he's a black guy, it's not going to happen. What happened?
The very opposite.
The very opposite. You can go to my Facebook history. I was the guy that was saying, "Hey guys, right. I'm telling you, this dude is serious. Yeah. He's the real deal. Like, look what he's talking about. Look at his background. Look what he's been able to do. Right. Look at the change he's brought about." Now, I mean, what he's been able to do in office. That's up to discussion. That's a whole different discussion. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah. But I think we've learned a lot as liberals from that whole process as well, right? Yeah. Because what we didn't pay attention to, what we did pay attention to was getting him in office. What we didn't pay attention to was all the different people he would also need to come in and usher in change that we wanted to see. Right. So this wave, and you know, Bernie says the new political revolution. It may not feel that way, but we know just on the ground with local politics and what it looks like to work with our local politicians and the ones who make the decisions and all, not even just the politicians, but the business owners and what that looks like to usher in the change we want to see. Mm-hmm. I think we are totally in a different space than we were as leaders in the community than we were back in 2008. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we're part of that change too. So you got to ask yourself, where do you stand? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that is definitely a valid question. My only thing with Bernie is not necessarily his plan. I think his plan is laid out, is flush, and it addresses our community, and it's progressive. It's very, very much so in alignment with what I stand for and what I believe in. Right. My thing is, has he convinced us? Has he convinced us that he can actually get these things passed? Because I mean, one thing that stood out to me was, I mean, he has $1 trillion jobs bill. Yeah. Roadways, highways, infrastructure. The same thing that we hear all across the board. Right. But his is a lot more robust because he wants to put a lot more. He wants to make a large dent in the unemployment rate, right? And to me, that sounds like, oh shit, like is that going to get passed? Like, are they going to work with him on this? Is everyone going to see the benefit in creating a jobs program, or is he going to get like the same way they did Obama? You know what I'm saying? Like they tried to like flatline everything Obama did. Right. Because there's a lot of stuff that never made to the light of day that he was trying to pass. That Congress just was like, nah, we're not rocking with you. And my thing is, I'm wondering if that's going to be the same thing for him, especially. You talking about free tuition, free, debt-free college for everybody, single payer healthcare system for everybody. All of these things come with tremendous expenses, and then he's talking about taxing, folks that make $10 million, 52%, and 42% as they go down, as you make less. So he's talking about taking a lot from the wealthy, the 1%, and just giving that money to these social programs. Right. And that's going to piss a lot of people off.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
It is.
But it is. Is that something that I'm worried about? No, of course not. But I do think, in a political landscape, it's something that you can, like, not.
You can't acknowledge it. I get it. I totally understand that. Yeah. And let's use history as a context, though, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at 100 years ago to date, what was happening in the 1900s? Budgeting, those who had it killing the game. New ideas were coming to the table. Cars are proliferating through communities all across America. You know what I mean? And they was having a good time in the ragtime era, right? Fast forward some time, there had to be somebody who came in to press the reset button to say, okay, this is the new direction we have to go in. You know, when things went awry, because if you look at it in comparison, the income gap between those who had and those who didn't was about just as wide, right? When you look at the pay from the business owners versus the people that were working for them was just as wide. When you look at the communities that were disenfranchised and the owners of the people that own where people were living in squalors and stuff like that, like there's a lot of similarities to the story. And we know history just repeats itself, man. You know, we're in the time and we're in the era for that ushering of new change to come. Because if it doesn't come, where are we going to go?
You see what I'm saying? I'm very glad that you asked that question, because I have a theory.
All right, let's go for it. I'm with it.
So
I want to learn.
And I think, you know,
drop the science over, kid.
I think the one difference between, you know, when we talk about the early 1900s, when we had that economic landscape, right, was our population, the population of blacks, Latinos, and just immigrants in general was significantly lower. You know,
of course,
our birth rates have increased over the years, right? And so we were a much more of a minority than we are now, right? Because you know, I looked at when King was assassinated, Bernie Sanders left Chicago, or he left and moved to Vermont at that time, Burlington. And I looked at the census data for, you know, what was taking place in Burlington. I'm like, where the hell is Burlington? First off, that was the first time I ever heard of Burlington.
But you live out here, though.
I do.
That's cool.
So I'm like, Burlington. I think of Burlington Coat Factory.
Right. I get it.
And so I'm like, okay, what's going on in Burlington? You know, 0.3% black. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
0.3%
anything other than white people.
Right.
So
I'm like, oh shit, okay. And you look at the census data for now, and it's 7% black. So you see that there's an increase, but I mean, it's still like 90% white.
Right.
And to me, like that still makes up a lot of the culture and the politics. Is you're dealing with you're dealing with yourself a lot. You know, you're not really dealing with folks who have different needs economically, socially than you. So your politics tend to favor towards your constituency, you know, and that's just how it is. And you think about back then, we're putting policies in place, not necessarily in the event to help the underrepresented. We're talking about helping more poor white folks that are just as poor as the blacks
exactly.
and browns.
But I get that. I get what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? And so now, to me, it's like we are in that age where, you know, these type of social reforms and that revolutionary reset button on our country has to be reset. The thing that happens is, if we don't address it, is that I predict that conflict is going to continue to rise. You know, and what we've seen with the protests in Ferguson and Baltimore as systemic responses to, you know, just the oppression that we feel on a day-to-day basis, not just police brutality, but just the everyday stress of living in poverty and living in conditions like we do. I think that it's going to turn into something a lot more violent and almost in just to be point blank and blunt about it, I just think we're pushing ourselves towards a period of civil war. So
what, to that point, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm going to be completely transparent. I'm a revolutionary who doesn't want to die. All right, I'm gonna be completely transparent about it. I have children. Right. I am that 30 plus dude that Tupac was talking about at the end of Kendrick's album. I'm that guy. Right. I had a rebel rousing voice when I was in my 18 to 20 year in my 20s, but now I'm thinking about things in a more robust way. That it makes even more of it's even more critical now that we be more thoughtful about where we're going to go from this point. Because if we don't make a move in the way that's gonna be beneficial for all of us, right, at this point now, then we're going to go directly down the path that you're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
And so what I believe, this is not about me getting behind a guy who's going to fix this situation for me to be able to chill. No, what the point I was making about looking at when this happened 100 years ago is that now we're in the position where we can be a part of the change that's happening and create our own systems for ourselves with the new rules, because we're helping to shape the new rules. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's why I don't want to get behind somebody who's going to help to maintain the status quo, because the status quo is not it doesn't put us in the position to be able to change things the way we need to for our communities.
Right.
It creates gentrification.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It creates situations where those who do not have are pushed out and have to figure it out. Right? Disperses us even more, so we can't even come together.
Right.
So I'm saying at this moment right now, we have to be thinking, okay, what are the ideas that we can all gather behind? And then now that we're having this conversation, right, all of us that are like-minded like me and you,
right.
Okay, so what is that, based on these things that this dude is saying, and we're going to get him in office, what does this look like for what we're trying to create here for us? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if we're not having, it's not an either or conversation, they're both end. And if we're not having the other conversation, then we're doing ourselves a disservice anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who gets elected.
Right.
It makes no sense.
And that's kind of like the way I feel like at this point, because we definitely, for one, that, it seems the conversations that I see online mm-hmm. regarding, just the whole political landscape that we see right now, it's almost like the bandwagon, effect.
Yeah, of course it is.
And it's what I saw even in 2008 with Obama. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of people just voting for him because of the fact that he was black. I mean, I did too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't really read into his policies at the time, mm-hmm. Until later. Until after he was elected. Then it was like, well, what did I do? That was my queen. That was the first time she ever voted in her life.
Wow.
Was for Obama.
Interesting.
She was not like messing with the political system at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've noticed a lot, in my short time on this earth, is that a lot of us in our community are not very, even politically interested.
Right.
And to me, it was I saw it firsthand when I started first going to city council, mm-hmm. right? I would go into city council and you see the same old heads in there every Tuesday.
Right.
Got the naysayers, and then you got the folks that's celebrating the community. And I'm like, where are we at? Like, where's folks like me? And every time I saw somebody that was young and that had something to say, I would make sure that I reached out to them and like, yo, what's good?
Right.
I appreciate you coming. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to connect with them. And when you think about now, Obama's leaving, and now it's like, where's the conversation at? What kind of conversations are we having? We're having a lot of people saying like, well, I'm going to vote for Hillary because I want to see the first female president ever. And now here we go again. It's like
same bandwagon nonsense.
Same bandwagon,
yeah, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? And we do need to think about strategies as far as like, well, how can we use this to our advantage if we can get a brother like Bernie Sanders in office? How can we leverage our power, collective power, mm-hmm. to make sure that our needs are addressed, and not just addressed but also met? Mm-hmm. What can we do? But then it's like, is there a step before that? Do we need to raise our political education, our political awareness before we can even have these types of political conversations?
Right. Hence the Facebook post.
Right.
That's the medium that we use, and so of course it's the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of us aren't going to do nothing. The 20% of us are going to be the ones who do, right?
Right.
But even beyond that, we have to make sure that we raise the political mindset of what's necessary for you to do your part to usher in the change we're trying to see.
Yeah.
I don't need everybody knowing everything.
No, of course not.
But I need you to at least be thoughtful
right.
about what you're talking about. Take a second.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with me, you can still vote for Hillary. And I said it in a post. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for.
Right.
I'm just giving you some things to think about before you make your vote.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And as long as I can get folks doing that, that raises the IQ, the political IQ, and then it creates a space for us to be able to grab the people, cherry pick from the people who did raise their IQ and understand what's going on, right. who do have a level of influence, for us to be able to come together and say, okay, look, let's come up with a plan. I'm not even saying I do have a plan, but I'm not saying that my plan is a plan that we need to move forward in. We need to really iron sharpens iron, sit down, have a conversation, and really decide where it goes.
Explore all the plans and decide on the best feasible plan.
Man.
Right, absolutely.
But I'm just saying from the way that I believe we need to come together, and this is now me talking from my standpoint, like going in the direction to expand it as slow as Obama was able to kickstart it is not fast enough for what we need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need some immediate changes to happen so that we can benefit from that growth and from that change.
Yeah, I agree.
Right now.
I agree 100%.
You know what I mean?
And I think, and that's one thing. It's going to take me back to that. And we had this conversation maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as far as like what I see as far as how, we need a stimulus. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because we have these grand ideas. We have a lot of brilliant individuals in our community that have great ideas, great plans, and they all should be, considered, listened to, thought through, and even implemented at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But what we continuously run into is the lack of resources.
Right.
We have this lack of resources, and we have an abundance of individuals who do have access to these resources, but they're not either politically inclined or they just not culturally inclined to share those resources.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is we have to like fight so hard to get Congress to pass these social bills so that we can like send it to the top from the top down. And what ends up happening is the money starts to disperse because it goes through all these administrative, responsibilities first, because people have to administer these social programs. And then what's left gets passed down to the community where the actual change is needed and where the actual resources are needed. Mm-hmm. So what I'm thinking is like, we need like a social venture capitalist in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Someone to like really see that an investment in, the black and brown community, specifically the black community, is an investment in the American economy. Mm-hmm. We already have $1.1 trillion in spending power. You know what I'm saying? Well, by 2017, we'll have it.
Yeah.
We already spend close to the most out of everybody in this country.
In every category.
In every category.
Yeah.
So if we're the biggest consumers, the biggest spenders, if you directly invest in our community, you're talking about even more of a boom, a significant contribution we'll make to this economy. And what that means to me when I say venture capitalist, when I say social venture capitalist, I guess that's cryptic for me saying like we need a stimulus package, or we need our reparations, I should say, in a sense.
I feel that. I agree. I agree 100% with that.
Word.
But the money is also already there, right? It's not like we don't have money at all. It's just not situated in a way and no, I won't even say allocated. We don't use it in a way that empowers us. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, well yeah. You're talking. I see.
You see what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. Collectively,
that 1.1 trillion
is a lot of money.
It's
a lot of money.
There is a pool of resources there.
And so to the point of what you just said.
Yeah.
Because even if we had the reparations, there's no structure or entity to be able to hold it, to distribute it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking from both aspects of what you're talking about versus and not even versus and what I'm talking about. I mean, because there are folks who got money. You know what I mean? We got these athletes that don't know. Everybody not investing and doing the things that LeBron is doing. You know what I'm saying?
No, not at all.
Some of them are going in, getting this money, spending it all, and broke by the time they done playing ball. You know what I mean? You got these actors and actresses. You have these people who go into industry and go into corporate life, 6-7 figures that they making. People who in the financial industry, there's money there, right? But there's no structure in order for them to be able to invest to not only get interest on their investment, but also have that investment be used in a way that's going to benefit and create a space for black folks to be able to prosper. Right. Yeah. So when I ain't gonna go into the details of it because I don't want nobody but that's what I'm here to create. You know what I mean? My goal and my mission in the next 8 to 10 years, and this is why I'm saying we don't have time for these slowpoke ideas. Like I need big ideas happening now, so that I can create what I'm trying to create in this space. Big change needs to be happening. But in the next 8 to 10 years, my end goal is to create that entity that's able to disperse and create the new black community, the new black economy, where you have the Apple that is in Inglewood, right? The black version of Apple is in Inglewood, and it hires the folks from HBCUs all across the country to live in this black community, doing these things and cultural events, the whole nine. That's in this city. The black bank people are investing in the local black bank that I created. And the businesses that we incubate in that space are businesses that are not just mom and pop shops, which are cool. Like, I'm not hating on the mom and pop shops, but we need big ideas happening right now. Yeah. We need our own manufacturing arm that's connected to what's going on in Africa. So not only are we creating jobs here in America, but we actually connecting the diaspora. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, absolutely.
I can go on and on down this path, man. But it starts with the big movement up front to be able to create the space for these types of things to happen. You know, right now, the way things are, we're too bogged down dealing with police brutality. Right. You know what I mean? To even see exactly, man. The fog is a perfect example of what I'm saying. Like, the road is ahead of me, but I can only look at the line because I can't see through the fog. So I can only take it one step at a time. But if we could clear the fog out of the way and see what the road looks like and see what the landscape looks like, man.
Right.
What would we be able to do?
Man, we'd be able to at least, compete.
Exactly.
And
I don't even want to compete.
Right.
I just want to create our own lane. That's it. Yeah. Do you keep doing whatever you're doing? I don't care. But we're going to just go ahead and reinvest our situation, and we're going to do it in a way that's going to benefit us and create our own legacies from not just my children, but my children's children are going to be able to benefit of the things that I'm able to do. I'm out here. I'm telling you, Thomas. I'm saying it on Black Friday.
Thank you.
Derek Steele, 10 years from now, will be a billionaire.
Hey,
watch me.
I claim that. I love that. So we'll be right back. We're gonna take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Real niggas only. Dedicated to the real niggas only. Dedicated to all the who keeps the film lit. No shoes. The music. Who give it to? Are you listening? What's my name? J-Dilla. They did it again.
What's good, folks? I'm your host, Tommy Bunch. This is the Black Friday podcast. I got my special guest with me. My man's Derek Steele.
Yeah, we still in here, man. I'm in here. I had to push some things around. I'm still trying to stick in here because this conversation is way too good to walk away, bro.
Way too awesome. Now, I want, I think we left off at a great space. Just talking about what we could do once we get through that fog,
right?
And creating a space where it's not even competition, more so it's our own individual lane, almost like the revitalization of Tulsa, what I'm saying?
Man.
And we back. Black Wall Street is back. Let's segue into the idea of entrepreneurship, because for me personally, that's something that I feel moving forward, starting like yesterday, should be at the forefront of our educational institutions, right? And I think that could kind of like directly in the line with the work that you guys are doing, that could directly, change that school to prison pipeline. So now instead of school to prison, it's school to the sky rise.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I
get
get
it.
it.
To the business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And training individuals to have an entrepreneurial mind state to where that, because what's gonna be needed in order to, get through that fog is that level of or that idea or that spirit of self-determination,
right?
Knowing your self-worth and knowing that you are the master of your own destiny at the end of the day. Indeed. That has to be re-indoctrinated inside of us at a real fundamental level. And fundamentally, when if you want to fundamentally get with, our community, you get with the kids, you get with the young, get with the babies. Right. You got a beautiful family. I have a beautiful family. So obviously thinking about the future generations is important. So, I had this idea about, it's called Class for Credit. And it's a program, part of one of my millions of plans to help our community. It's a plan where students, say for instance, say for instance, Isis is going to class, right? And she gets all B's, right? So technically those are worth, they count B's, or there's a passing grade, so she gets a credit. So she'll get 5 credits.
Right.
So what if those actual credits were actual like currencies that were actually transferred to the credit agencies? And these are actual credit points that she can accumulate over her academic career that turns into physical credit. And if she graduates within a certain threshold, she gets automatically a good credit score at the end of her graduation. So now she can go and apply for a business loan directly from high school, because credit is based on responsibility.
Right.
Students are responsible. You have academic responsibilities, and then you embed an entrepreneurial course. It's like an entrepreneurial academy. So we're building business. It's the Stanford before Stanford.
Right.
And so what you do is making it through the program. That's one of the incentives to getting through the program, is that you'll have, a 700, 800 credit score upon completion of the program. So it's class for credit. And it creates an opportunity to where disadvantaged youth from our communities who don't have access to capital, see, that's the disadvantage.
Can create the capital.
They can get the capital right now and then start building and doing work in their communities as soon as they graduate high school. And there is no lag. See, because what you're talking about the same thing. You're saying we don't need the incremental, slow, snail's pace type of change. We need innovation today. So, not saying that students should forego college, but I'm saying that there can be opportunities, because not every student is going to go to college.
Right.
So statistically,
Exactly.
they're not. They
Right.
can't afford it. But if students were given the opportunity to say, you know what, I can take a loan and go to school because I have the credit to support it, or I can take this loan and flip it and invest it with 3 of my partners who we came up with this brilliant app, and now we could be our own, essentially we could invest in our own company now, and you know what I'm saying? And from the jump, we'll have a built-in user base from our student body and from our community. You know what I'm saying? And so now it creates this ecosystem where students are now being trained to come into the world as contributors to society, as opposed to like, okay, now I have to go find my way and navigate through an entirely new system, and hope at the end there's something for me. Like right now, because of what I've already accomplished and what I've learned, I can immediately start making that change today. And that's one of the things that I think, as far as like, a program that we could employ that could actually be feasible.
Let me ask, the classes that she's taking, you're talking about regular academic classes that she's already doing?
Yeah, Gen Ed, algebra, everything, every class that she's taking.
I'm gonna take that idea a step further.
Okay.
Right, and I'm thinking about what you're saying versus not. Why do I keep saying versus? I'm thinking
that's
what
how they program.
That is, I feel fight again. No, I'm thinking about what you're just saying, and thinking about what I ended with the last segment. The thought that came to mind was, what we need to do if we had our own education system that was teaching entrepreneurship and what that looked like, and business savvy, and taking that to the next level or whatnot. The tools that you need, because as an entrepreneur yourself, the things that you learn in school are not the things you use.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying? So being able to capture what that means and what that looks like, and being able to teach that. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, even if I'm getting the credit scores, are we using that to the credit in the situation that already exists? Or are we talking about in this world that we're creating, right? Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing: the investment bank idea that I'm talking to you about, we could create our own programming around, the students that are affiliated with these banks that we have in Black communities all across America. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And doing exactly what you just said, because we're teaching, and if you're in that program, the program that's teaching you entrepreneurship and all that, and all the things that you do to be able to add that credit score, this is the type of loan that you can get from the bank. Absolutely. Right? And so the people who are investing into this, it ain't just got to be Black folks who are investors, but those are the people that we looking at first.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because this is a Black thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's Black Friday. We talk about the Black movement right now. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
So you know, when you have all these things that they're learning all these ideas and they have this credit score, now they can come to the bank and say, I turn in their paper for the loan to be able to go ahead and create whatever idea that they ended their schooling with, right? Because the last thing you got to do is actually formulate what idea that you have that you want to bring to the table. Now, that doesn't have to be the end all be all for you, but at least you're coming to the table with an entrepreneurial idea that's going to maybe change the landscape of the world. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope. And then
that way we don't have to rely on the powers that be. Like we create our own power, our own system, our own situation, and our own future.
Right. And it is completely sustainable, because if you think about the membership of the bank, the membership is made. I mean, we talking about Killer Mike. Killer Mike had on national TV announced that we all need to invest money in one banking system for ourselves.
Talk about it.
So if that idea comes into fruition and we do something of that nature, like we have Broadway Federal right here, we could all open checking accounts, savings accounts right now in that bank and invest every dollar we have. Take all our money out of Bank of America and Wells Fargo, wherever we bank, and put it all there.
Talk about it, man.
Under the stipulations that they agree that this is now a community bank specifically for the empowerment of us.
Right.
You know, and so now we have these young people graduating through our business schools, in a sense, our new age Stanfords. You know
Talk about it.
And because of the fact that they become before a body of individuals who oversee this particular venture, now they present almost like a shark, not even Shark Tank, but almost like just present your ideas before these investors. And now you can get access to these loans. But the great thing about it is that these aren't like, you won't get the fluctuating, interest rates. You're going to get a low interest rate,
right?
Because we want to see you succeed. We're not trying to the bank shouldn't be trying to make a
profit off of you. Exactly.
Right. The bank is here to empower the community,
right?
And empower innovative ideas that's going to push the culture forward.
Come on, man.
So
that's where I'm at.
I think by you saying that, I think that
connects the dots all day, every day, man. That's what I said. When you said what you're saying, I'm sitting here, I'm listening, and I'm trying to like hold my peace, but like.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Thomas, what are you talking about right now? That's phenomenal, because like I said, it also creates that longevity.
Right.
So it's beyond what I create. It's about what they're creating time and time and time again. And as long as the ideals of the institution continues that the growth over time of what's going on, and the investors have we not just taking money just from anybody. Like, you have to have a certain mindset to be able to invest in what we're doing. Right. And if you're not part of that mindset, then you can't invest your money here. We don't want it.
We don't want it. No,
you know what I'm saying?
Real spit.
Yeah.
I think so. And I think that, because that's there's a completely different business climate when you think about up north, what's going on. These dudes are like in it to like make a lot of money. They want to make a lot of money fast. They want to fail fast. They want to start up as many companies as they can and become like the next Zuckerberg, right?
Right.
And so, there's not a focus on, the social aspect of it. Because I was asking my queen today, I was just like, man, I wonder why, like, companies like Worldstar, for example, prime example. Worldstar, despite the content that the publishing company puts out, it's one of the most popular black media companies in the world. It's probably more popular than BET. You know what I'm saying? If we thinking about who their demographics are and the type of content that relates with people, Worldstar is rather popular.
They are, man.
I don't fuck with them.
I can't. I don't watch. I don't partake. But I get it. I get exactly what you're saying, though.
You know what I'm saying? But my question is, okay, well, why isn't that attracting the attention of the Silicon Valley venture capitalists who are looking? Everybody's trying to invest in new media. Everybody's trying to invest in media companies because they understand that content creation is where media is right now. That's the one way to connect brands with users in a fast, self-perpetuating way. You know what I mean? Through platforms like Facebook, through platforms like BuzzFeed. We're talking about content creation, and we're talking about brands and business, and then you have a native user base that's going to just suck all this content up. Worldstar is a prime example of that. But I haven't heard that anybody has made a significant, investment in Worldstar. And the queen was just saying, because I was rather pessimistic about it. But she was saying like, well, maybe they have, and maybe they just, they standing on their values. But I'm like, how the hell you got values when you show
the content is the content?
When the
Like,
content is the content, there
yeah.
can't be no moral compass there,
Right.
But I think that to me, I think that speaks to the climate of the type of the culture of the venture capitalists there. It's a dope documentary. I suggest everybody get on. It's what is it called? I think it's called like Ventured or something like that. It's on
Something Ventured.
Huh?
Something Ventured.
Something Ventured?
Yeah. Something Ventured. It's the history of Silicon Valley and the venture capitalist firms that actually got everything started. I've seen that joint.
Yeah, my man. So you saw like during this time when the tech boom really bubbled, and all of these dudes were leaving these big manufacturing companies, these big technology companies, and starting their own startups. When the first startups were like when it was really popping, these dudes were going to these venture capitalists with one-page business proposals.
Yeah.
Misspelled words like, I need a few million. I'm going to be doing technology. Just very vague, but there was money there, and to me that speaks to a mindset as opposed to like, because it's the internet is a wild, wild west.
Right.
There is no rules. Anybody can go up and start a blog right now, and it can pop and be the next big thing.
But see, to what you're saying though, I would venture to say that when you think about mindset, the owner of Worldstar probably not thinking about what you're talking about right now.
That's a good point.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's so bogged down on viewership and so bogged down on
content,
likes and content and stuff like that he not thinking about how to take it to the next level and the longevity of the brand.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that comes down to, again, where we started this conversation, at the education of it all.
Yeah.
There is no school of hard knocks to teach you exactly what you need to know as far as entrepreneurship to get to whatever goal you're trying to reach.
Right.
A lot of us, we out here just started with a good idea and just trying to figure out a way to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? And that takes away from the value that we can bring. So there's a lot of work that has to come in the education of the movement, where I feel like the incubation of ideas comes into play, right? So when you saying you come and you get a chance to pitch your idea, like not only are you pitching the idea, but you get the opportunity for the incubation of that idea. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
absolutely.
We're talking about creating the same thing.
And that's why I love the idea of incubators, is because when you think about just physically what an incubator is, it's specifically designed to make sure that the life force exists beyond the incubator.
Right.
And so to me, that creates an intention. You know what I'm saying? Like the intention is for you to win.
Right.
It's not for me to rape you. You know what I'm saying? It's not for me to give you a loan so that I know you'll default on it, and then I can reap the benefits of it. I can reap the benefits of it. It's actually designed for you to win. So when we have these young people, just think about what that means. For young black, brown, specifically black kids to, high school kids, college kids, to have a space where their ideas are warranted and wanted and desired and loved and nurtured to the point to where it blossoms into the next big thing, the next big idea. Yeah. And to me, like, because I always say, man, the one thing that we need to love on each other a lot more.
I agree.
We were in a love drought. We aren't in a water drought. We're in a love drought.
That's so real, bro.
We in a completely love. People need to be loved on. You know what I'm saying?
I feel it.
Men are too hard. Women are, underappreciated. We need a love movement. You know what I'm saying? And it reminded me of Common's album, One Day It'll All Make Sense. He's got this sample where he samples Minister Farrakhan, where at the end he's saying we need to rebuild the black family. And it's so funny listening to that in 97, 98 when he made that, 96, 95 when he made that album, to now, you know what I'm saying, it still resonates. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's still like more, it's still relevant today as it was then. You know what I'm saying? And to segue, like, what do you think? Where do you see? Because this dude Derek, man, this is my boy right here, man. This dude, he's brilliant, man. This dude is up on everything. I swear to God, it was one day. What was it? You posted it. You had posted some shit. Like, I had just saw it. I use Feedly, right?
Okay.
So that's how I stay up on
Stay
shit
up on everything,
when
yeah.
everything is popping right then. And I had saw something. I was like, okay, I'll post this a little bit later. I go to Facebook and you already had posted it. I'm like, damn, this nigga right here, he's on everything. Like, how does he know what's popping everywhere?
In every category, yeah,
I love
man.
it, man. I love it. So just being somebody that's conscientious of the movements that are going on in the world,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're already thinking about how to connect the diaspora, connect with Africa, create those trade routes to where we can, you know, invest in Africa, Africa can invest in us,
Mm-hmm.
and create those relationships. Just seeing where things are going, where do you see innovation in our community?
We got to create it. There's a lot of good ideas, man. I mean, we've sat down just between the two of us and have dropped hella ideas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good thoughts, but it comes back to resources, you know, and the innovation will continue to be stifled until we find a way to be able to create the resources that are necessary for those ideas to be brought to the forefront. Right. And so when I sat down after reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and was coming up with my writings of my plan and my statement of wealth and what that looks like, being really thoughtful about it, I'm like, man, to answer the same question, what is necessary? What do we need? Right. Well, we need to figure out a way to bring together that $1.1 trillion in a way that's going to benefit the longevity of our people.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And I'm not saying, look, man, I'm not the guy who I don't hate everybody else. That's not what this is about.
Of course not.
But I love my folks enough to understand that we can't just continue talking about how we have been disenfranchised and taken advantage of over the years. Right. Now, I do believe we need to have that conversation about why that happened, and we need to be made whole. Yeah. But I think that's a different conversation than what we can do in the future and how we can innovate the world, specifically for us, but also on a larger grand. You know, I'm talking to the queen. You know, one of the things she wants to do is create a clothing line. We already got a name for it. I'm buying her a sewing machine. She's been practicing her drawing, teaching herself how to do it. Nice. Got plans of going to, not to fashion school itself, but taking some of these fashion classes, learn some of the basics. Right. You know, but it doesn't necessarily need to be creating something that doesn't exist. It's actually creating something that exists but is built for us. Right. When you think about women's jeans, right? Every pair of women's jeans that were made for black people are like caricatures of black women, yo. Right. Apple bottoms, bro. Like, are you kidding me right now? Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Who's wearing those? Right. Like, so just thinking baby fat, right? Thinking about what is necessary for women of color to be able to have something that's comfortable for them. Right. You know, having clothing that you might be able to buy at the Pink store that's just designed by a white lady. Bevel. Think about Bevel right now, bro. Tristan Walker, that's my man. First of all, you know, Tristan Walker. He went to high school with my best friend Brian Newton and Jamu Perry. So he's family, man. I know that dude. And so to see him and actually really move in the direction that he's moving, he created Walker and Company to compete with Johnson & Johnson. I love it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I love it. Like, it don't got to be something that you're creating totally new. You ain't got to reinvent the wheel, but we just doing something that is beneficial to us. Absolutely. And that's all it is, you know? So, but like, to bring back to the top of the point to answer the question you asked me, I believe it starts with the capital, though. Like, we got to create the resources so that these ideas can be brought to life, and so that we can see where it goes and create the new landscape and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to think. I try to think where we are, you know, right now, and where the innovation for us is going to take place as well. And you know, I think that one place where innovation could take place for us is in video games. Oh yeah, the video game industry. We don't have a presence there. You know, we're big consumers of video games. We play a lot of most of the sports games. You know, we get into the role player games as well. But from a developer side, like the development of the game, you know, the storyboarding of the game, creating the storylines of the games, directing the games, modeling the games in a 3D space, programming the games.
You know, that's a whole industry.
Yeah, man.
That,
That's
you know,
moving and shaking every day.
real spit. You know, and video games haven't even reached the sales threshold that movies have yet, despite, you know, the fact that they have this just natural immersive, you know, characteristic of it. You know, you could sit there and play Grand Theft Auto for hours and get lost in that world because it's so expansive. There's so many things to do, but yet and still ways to actually engage with the user who's using it. You know, that's a whole nother field that we haven't really explored. Obviously, you know, technology, you know what I'm saying, developing apps and, you know, developing, you know, something to not necessarily to something to compete with the Apple.
I agree.
You know
You're
what I'm
right,
saying?
though.
Like, why does Apple have to have, you know, even though I have an Apple computer,
I have one too.
why does Apple have to have its reins on, you know, what, you know, computers and, you know, just thinking about it like that. And even, you know, just in the work that you guys are doing, like, you know, what Micah is doing with environmental justice.
Yeah.
You know, we are directly impacted from, you know, environmental, you know, justice
Issues
infringements and stuff
right,
like that.
Right.
You know, you see it sprouting up in Flint. You see it sprouting up in Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? Chicago just released a report saying there was lead in their water. So we have a lot of environmental justice issues that I know you could speak to.
I can. I can go. We can go down that road to touch on that out because I don't want to change the subject too much. But that's where this whole infrastructure conversation happens, man. Like there is no like the way it's been approached now cannot be the way that it gets approached in the future, bro. Like if we're going to change things, like I got to give shout out to Mayor Butts. You know, because one of the very first things he did was to work on the whole water pipe situation in the city of Inglewood and switch that whole situation up so that we didn't end up being in the same situation that some of these other cities are in. You know, because Inglewood's been around for a long time. Yeah. But I want to say on the innovation front, though, we have to create the foundation of our own industries for the innovation to come. You know what I mean? How can we be innovative in the computer space if we don't have our own computer company? Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. How can we be?
Our kids ain't even getting computer training.
Training, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, to even be a large portion of the computer companies even know how they work to be able to create your own situation. You know, going back to Tristan, like he was the business owner. He was not business owner. He was the business manager of Foursquare. You know what I'm saying? You know, he worked at Twitter. Exactly, he worked at Twitter. He actually even worked at a venture capitalist firm. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Before he used all the information that he gathered from those spaces to create a foundational organization that is creating products that are specifically geared towards people of color. Men, black men in particular, who deal with razor bumps. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Genius idea. And because he got the foundation, the strong foundation there, now he can create the bevel trimmer that eliminated the space between the blades, so that we're not picking the hair out of our skin, but actually just shaving it across it, so that we don't have the razor bumps coming up. Right. You know, like to think innovatively. Right. Like it's not like mind-blowing, like mind-numbing change, but it's something that's necessary and something that's needed for people like us. Yeah, and just
in something so not even call it small, but just something like it's a nuance. You know? It's a very particular issue that we have that gets often overlooked. You know what I'm saying? And so when you think, because for me, I'm gonna be real, that's the reason why I grew the beard out. You know what I'm saying? I grew the beard because I hated razor bumps.
Talk about it,
and
man.
I was using Magic Shave. Bro.
Yeah, man.
I was putting Magic Shave on my face, bro.
There you go.
Wiping away the damn. God. Oh my God! It smelled like I was putting a perm on my face, my G. I was doing that.
That's horrible.
To see that he's developed this shaving system that's designed specifically for us. It to me it's amazing to think, like, once we start applying ourselves in any industry,
that's what I'm saying.
It's automatically innovative because of the fact that these companies aren't aren't designing products specifically
for us. Man. So just that in itself, all this whole slew of new products that come up, and that are built specifically for the people who spend the most money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I be having those moments where I just be like, I just don't understand. Like, if I had money, if I had a Billy right now, right? It would be so the markets would be it would be black everywhere. It would be black companies everywhere. We'd be exploring everything, man. You know, and that's why one of the reasons why I love Eddie Murphy movies is because he created that paradigm. When you look at like Boomerang, Marcus Graham was the head marketing director of this big black company. You know, and I'm just like, you look around, it's nothing but black folks walking around everywhere, and I'm just like, you talk about like just the imagination of being able to have that imagination and the foresight to say like, this is the paradigm that I want to create. You know, I mean, even in Harlem Nights, you're just thinking about like black club owners. You know, these are black men who wear suits, and they're the most, you know, stand up debonair type of dudes. You know what I mean? And I think just reimagining and allowing the capacity for yourself to think about yourself in that light. It you know, it definitely transformed the way I think about things. You know what I'm saying? And so I do like I rock with Tristan Walker, man. And I, you know, so you have him now that, like you said, he can create the trimmer. But then he can go into like the cosmetic aspect. He can create lotions, the aftershaves now.
He got the whole system.
Oh, he does.
He got a whole system that you can subscribe to, and he just got to deal with Target to sell them a la carte.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it's a whole shaving system with it's the shaving cream, the lotion, and he brought back the single blade razor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because now that you have everything that you need to get your hair together, now it's just straight boom, boom, boom. You good to go. And the thing was, he had a picture from some black dudes in like the 1920s, 1930s. So you look at their faces; they don't have razor bumps because you know what I'm saying. Funny. They use a straight razor, the one blade razor, but they had the right creams and the things they needed to do so that they didn't have no problem. And they had to go to the barber regularly, but that's why you have the monthly subscription to get your products every month to go ahead and do what you need to do, so you good to go. On a regular basis.
Do you think that looking forward, like looking 3-5 years from now, because I mean he's still relatively small.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But one thing I do love that I want to say is that he's consistently sponsoring a lot of programs that are designed specifically for us, and he's investing as far as like advertisement dollars to like local, you know, podcasts and things like that.
Sir.
To make sure that this message gets out, and I think that that's awesome. Now looking 3-5 years from now, when you know Bevel is the Johnson & Johnson now,
right.
And he's that dude, you know. And do you think that that's going to be disruptive to like the barber experience? Like people going to the barber to get that single blade?
No, I think the barbers need to get. When I saw the bevel trimmer, I can show you the text message. I hit my barber up, who's on her way now. Said, "Yo, you need to get this." You need to get one of these.
Right.
You need to get part because and bring the experience of the shaving experience back to the shop.
Yeah, that's dope.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Okay.
And so on a subscriber base, that makes sense.
Right.
Like so every month I'm getting new product. You know what I mean, to make sure I'm taking care of my customers in a way that they ain't got to worry about razor bumps. Because we go to the barbershop, and no matter what barber you go to, bro, like you know they can try to get close enough, but I still end up with the bumps, bro.
Still.
You know what I'm saying?
Time.
So it's like if he's going to create the products to keep that from happening, then the barber industry doesn't have to get disrupted. They just need to innovate how they're doing their practices. It's not just clippers and charge me $25-$30 no more. Like you need to give me the whole experience. Exactly.
Get back to the
hot
craft.
Towels. Yeah. Get back to the craft.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I totally agree.
Give me my $25 worth.
For real. Yeah. So we getting ready to close it out in a minute, but before we go, give me, you know, give the folks listening at home, man, who are thinking about, you know, who have entrepreneurial aspirations but may not know where to start. You know, top 5 books that you would recommend.
Oh man.
And if you got to expand it, then go.
Yeah, no problem. Think and Grow Rich is definitely one that just was like, wow. This information has been here this long and I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's definitely the one to kick it off with. Tribal Leadership is another great book because it helps you to understand the nature of people who work within a industry or work within a business. and the type of mindsets that they may have, understanding where you stand and what type of person you are and how you can lead as a tribal leader to get to the next level. I mean, I can talk about tribal leadership and like that book really helped. I read that towards the end of the year, and it really helped me shift the way I'm thinking about a lot of things. There's also, for those people who are in network marketing, you know, and I want to real quick.
Go ahead, do that.
Stop hating on network marketing, yo. I'm saying this in a very real way. I know there was a lot of products that set you up and you weren't prepared for it, and so you failed at it. And so the way experience works, I had a failed experience. I tell you about it. You tell somebody else about it. You tell somebody else about it. So now everybody feels like they had the same experience. There's only one person who had the failed experience. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So what you want to do is make sure if you're going to get involved in network marketing, learn the craft. You went to school for 4 years to learn how to do your job. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, why would you think that you're just going to jump into a whole different industry and have it mastered in a day? Like, that's no, you gotta do the due diligence of learning the craft of whatever product you're trying to get behind or that you're selling, right? Make sure that you look it up and do research. Don't do research on don't Google it. Yeah, no. Come on, fam, that's not research. Right. You know what I mean? That's disrespectful to your education system because they told you to go read even if you're going to look on the internet, the ways to actually look up research and do things. Like look at the Better Business Bureau, look up ripoffreport.com, see what's really going on with these companies and what they're up to. Right. So if you're going to go into network marketing, I would definitely say read GoPro, read Building an Empire. By Brian Carruthers. GoPro is written by Eric Worre, because they really give you the real deal of what network marketing is really all about. And all the books that I just mentioned are all written by white dudes. So that's another industry that we need to innovate. You see what I'm saying? And that's something I'm working on. Like I'm capturing the things that I'm thinking about on every day when I'm doing my runs on Facebook. But I'm also sitting down and I'm writing some things too about how to do these how-tos. I'm gonna be the black Zig Ziglar. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm out here to take care of business. Yeah. I mean, we got folks like Eric Thomas who's out here doing his thing. Les Brown is out here killing it too. Yeah. But you know, there can be more of us in this space if we really just believe in what we can do. Absolutely. Some of the other books, The Millionaire Next Door, great book. The Tipping Point is a great book. What was another book that homeboy wrote? There's the Lynchpin. Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. He got a couple hitters. That's kind of like read Malcolm Gladwell's books. Like Outliers. Outliers is the truth. Yeah, that's the real. Talking about how you're not a pro at anything unless you put 10,000 hours into it. Right. So think about anything you've done in your life. If you've never done 10,000 hours of it, you're not a pro. You're not a pro.
Get to work.
That's what I'm saying. Get to work. If you ain't been in the gym, if you ain't shooting in the gym, if you think Steph Curry, why is Steph Curry killing it the way he's killing it? Way more than 10,000 hours. Yeah. All right. You know what I'm saying? Homeboy shooting 77 3-point shots in practice before a game. 77 in a row before practice. Right. I mean, in practice in the game. Right. Come on, man. You tripping. You know, so yeah, Outliers was a good one.
That's why he puts up 51.
Exactly. You know? It's good money. Because I've been practicing. Right. I put in the hours, you know, so. But I think I went over. But yeah, Outliers is a good one. Lynchpin is another one. And I think those are definitely the ones I would throw out there as far as from an entrepreneurial standpoint to help you with your mindset. I'm a totally different dude than I was this time last year. And it's because of the books that I took the time out to read. I've read more books in the last year than I have actually since high school. I graduated high school in 2001. Word. It's 2015. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I was 16. My bad. I'm tripping.
Yeah. Well,
so
for real, me too.
2016. So we got work to do, man, out here. So those would be the books I would throw out there. You can not listen to me and try to figure it out on your own, but I'm telling you, you're going to fail, and you're probably going to fail backwards. You got to put yourself in position to fail forward. You know, mistakes are okay. Mistakes are practice. What you don't want to do is make the same mistake because that means you're not learning from it. But don't be afraid to make mistakes. You know, just because you got the answer wrong while you in class don't mean you a dummy.
Right.
You know what I mean? That means that you just didn't know, but now you know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Get out there, do what you need to do. Let's get this done.
Thank you. You heard the man. Get out there, get this thing done so we can do what we need to do. This is Tommy Buns, man. It's the Black Friday podcast, dude. This has been an enlightening experience. It's been great sitting here talking to my brother like this. We talk, man, all the time.
All the time.
But in this dynamic, it's just something different that, that manifested today.
Yeah, man.
And I definitely want to have you back, bro.
I don't want this to be the last time. I feel really good sitting in front of this mic, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's designed for you, man. You made for this space right here, bro. I want to, I definitely want to thank you for allowing me, inviting me to this space. We got a lot more things we got to talk about because I feel, we could talk for hours, and I think there's some more things that I want us to touch on the next one. But for right now, I definitely appreciate your time. How can people get in contact with you from here?
Hey, man, if you're trying to find out what we got going on at the Social Justice Learning Institute and how we're changing our communities here in Los Angeles counties and beyond, you can go to www.sjli.org. I'm the Health Equity Programs Director here, and we're doing some major work. But, of course, outside of the space, I'm doing all types of stuff, man. And if you're looking for me, look me up on Facebook, Derek Cali Living Steele. If you're on Instagram or on Snapchat or on Twitter, it's at Legend of Steele. That's LENG. Oh, wow. Legend. LENGEND of Steele. STEELE. E at the end, right? We killing it out here, man. Let's get it done. I'm having a great time in life, and I want you to have some too.
Thank you. You already know who I am. It's Tommy Buns. Give us some of that social currency, a like, a share, a comment. Check us out on TommyBuns.com. I'm going to definitely make sure that I put those books that Brother Derek Steele put out there for you. I'm going to make sure that I reference those so that you guys can click on them and go ahead and make those purchases. Because if you try to do it on your own, you're going to end up finding these books. Somebody with some knowledge along your path is going to point your ass right back to Malcolm Gladwell, to Napoleon Hill, the same way it happened to me. I'm sure the same way it happened to this
Exactly.
You're going to get pointed back because there's a reason why. These are benchmarks in your progress. These are when you get into the space of where you're coming into the knowledge. Mm-hmm. There are what they call them gatekeepers or the gurus that you gotta sit down, you gotta learn from. Mm-hmm. And these books have many gems in them that that I'm gonna make sure that I put on TommyBuns.com so you guys can check that out. So like I said, give us that social currency. Check out my man Derek Steele on all the social media platforms. We thank you for your time.
Hey, don't play. Press the like button and share the joint, yo. Let's make this viral. I'm not playing.
Thank you. It's the Black Friday podcast. We out of here. Peace.
Yeah.
Before I close this podcast, I would be remiss if I didn't take the time out to honor someone very, very special to me, even though I've never met this person a day in my life. On February 7th, we celebrate the life and the legacy of the one and only James Yancey, a.k.a. J-Dilla, a.k.a. J.D., a.k.a. Dilla Dog, McNasty. J-Dilla, man. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get some applause for that. I really didn't even prepare nothing for this particular part of the show. This is just, from the soul, man. And I first heard J-Dilla, I don't even know when. I first heard the music and connected a name to the music back in 2006, the year he died. My cousin Mike Towns, peace to God, we was at his homegirl April D's house in Inglewood on Crenshaw, and we was posted up. We was chilling. It was me. I believe Paco was there, Paco Schwartz. It was me, Towns, Pac. I think S-Class was there. And then we was at his homegirl April D's house, so they was playing a bunch of J-Dilla beats, and we was just all kicking it, having a good time or whatever. And I remember I stole the nigga CD from you. I said, I don't care what you do, I'm taking that CD with me tonight. I imported all of the beats. It was like 27, 28, maybe 32 beats on that CD. And who knows how many hands that CD had been passed through. Who knows if that was an actual CD that J-Dilla made and gave to somebody. Because Mike said he had got it from a friend in a studio session. And was like, oh yeah, I got these J-Dilla beats. and Mike ended up getting them, and then I ended up getting them from him. And that night, man, I'm not like a super freestyler, man. I don't really freestyle too much. I respect those who can. But I swear to God, we must have freestyled all goddamn night to them beats. Them beats was so amazing. Oh my God. And so in falling in love with those beats, I started to research J-Dilla because I learned he died, and then I learned that, the Roots were directly connected to him. I learned that Common was directly connected to him, Kweli, Mos Def, all the dudes that I really truly liked as artists. Growing up, all of these dudes were impacted tremendously by J-Dilla. Kanye West, Pharrell Williams, everybody you can possibly think of, Busta Rhymes, The Far Side, just it's so many references, man. I'm not gonna try to like sit here and just read off all of the references, it's so many people that he influenced and impacted, from his style of music, and they call him like the godfather of neo soul, and he was a mentor or a mentee of Pete Rock, and I mean to learn that all of these people that I looked up to my entire life, because my big brother, he used to always play Pete instrumentals, he used to always play beats by Pete Rock, and those was like the first like instrumentals that I ever really remember hearing from a producer. Like, I didn't know that producers would put out like instrumental CDs of their own work, like until Pete Rock. And from that to Tribe, Beats, Rhymes, and Life is one of my favorite Tribe Called Quest albums of all time. And that was even before I knew who the Ummah was. You see what I'm saying? And that was before I even knew exactly. I knew that there was a perfect person named J-Dilla. Then that takes me to De La Soul. And, all of these, and this is the music of the 90s that I'm growing up listening to under my big brothers, right? Big Mike and Dale and Ant Pup, or Anthony, my cousin. This is the music that they're playing, and I'm listening to it all, and I'm soaking it up, and I'm like, man, this is my experience. This is my introduction to hip hop, and so to find out that JD had influenced and created music for all of these dudes and was pioneering the sound of that particular time, it let me know, like, wow, he impacted me without me even knowing that he existed. You know what I'm saying? And I think like that speaks to the tremendous and true talent that this dude had, man. And I, like I said, I'd be remiss, man, if I didn't say rest in peace to the god J-Dilla. And just, I can't pour out no libations on this studio carpet, but man, I definitely will toast to the brother and take a sip for him. Because I mean, man, I might not even be the same person. I might not even be the same person if I never, was influenced by J-Dilla's music and his legacy and his commitment to excellence, and that's one thing. Another thing, I'm not just like oh yeah, J-Dilla, yeah, I want to rap on all his beats. No, I really like, when you really dive into who this dude was and you try to see like what makes this dude so special, is that the dude really embodied the music. He really lived and breathed the music. And House Shoes talked about how 15 minutes is all it took for dude to make some of the best music you'll ever hear in your life. And to me, that's fascinating. I cannot do that. I love making beats, but I don't make beats in 15 minutes. It'd be taking me days, weeks to make stuff. And that just shows the level of talent that this brother had, his ability to hear patterns and hear music and hear samples and then chop them in ways that repurpose them to where you didn't even really notice the cuts and the hit, that you didn't really notice the cuts and this where the samples are actually being taken from. And I think it's amazing, you know, his ability to program drums that felt real and sounded real. It just, the craftsmanship behind son is just impeccable, and to me, I think that creates even much more respect for dude, because not only was he somebody who everybody admired and respected and loved deeply and dearly, I think that he also earned that respect through his creative gifts that he was blessed with, and how he used those gifts to empower other people to, you know, express themselves and, you know, make a living for themselves, and also, you know, just how it impacted the rest of the world. So, you know, we honor J-Dilla on February 7th. This weekend is Dilla weekend in Miami. I wish to God that I was there, but I'm making it, you know, definitely something that I'm going to experience before I leave this earth, man. As long as there's air in my body, I'm going to try to make it down to a Dilla weekend. I didn't give it very much thought this year because I had a lot of things going on, but, you know, now that I'm talking about it, I definitely want to make sure that me and, you know, the folks that I know, you know, respect J-Dilla's music, experience what Dilla weekend is like. And, you know, because I feel like that might be the only way that I could really experience, you know, what that sound would have been like if the man was living and playing his music in the flesh. Because as of right now, I've only heard the music from this brother through speakers, you know what I'm saying, through speakers on the computer, and never in live. I never got to see Slum Village live. Well, I did get to see Slum Village live at Rock the Bells, but, you know, this was way after, you know, J-Dilla had passed. Yeah, man. So I don't know, man. I think that T-shirt that said J-Dilla changed my life, I think that was the perfect summary of, like, exactly, you know, my same sentiments, man. You know, I couldn't have said it better. You know, it's just I don't even know how to explain it, man. The music is just so fascinating. It's inspired my whole style, and, you know, I don't know, man. It's just so amazing, dude. I don't know. I don't even know what to do. Like, it's sad that his legacy was cut short too. You know what I mean? I think about, you know, at the age he died, he you know, he was a really, really young man. I'm gonna be 32 this year, and he died at 32. You know, a few days after his birthday, I believe. And you know, his presence is still, you know, felt today. You know, he's got thousands and thousands and thousands of beats that's out there that people haven't used. And I think that, you know, that's kind of like how Tupac was. You know, they said Tupac had like a tremendous catalog of music that he made that still hasn't even been heard. Prince the same way, Stevie Wonder the same way. You know, so this kind of like puts him in that category, you know, of those type of greats and those type of legends, you know, who just had bodies and bodies of work. You know, Slum Village just came out with a new album called Yes, and it's featuring all kinds of new J-Dilla beats that I had never heard of, you know, and some unreleased by 10 verses that I had never heard before. So it's just really, you know, sad to know that the brother is gone. But he'll be dearly missed, and we definitely gonna rock out and end this podcast with some music from the late J-Dilla. He passed away on February 10th in 2007. He was born February 7th, 1974. Like I said, he was 32 years old, man. 32, young man. He wasn't even considered an elder yet. You know, he left behind 2 kids, a brother, you know, brothers, family. You know what I'm saying, and just a legacy that will never be emulated, never be duplicated, only built on, improved on. Man, you know, I really wish I got a chance to, like, meet the brother in person, talk to him, vibe with him. Rest in peace, my G, James DeWitt Yancey, a.k.a. J-Dilla. Man, we miss you. We love you, brother. Thank you for what you've done for us. Thank you for what you've contributed to hip-hop. May your legacy live on.